One of the things about beekeeping is being flexible. One size fits all is not a phrase that works for beekeeping. Every season is different, and this one is way different. It's been a bizarre spring and summer. Most of my colonies greatly reduced their brood rearing back when we had that rainy spell. I guess it was 4 weeks ago. It happened across much of the southeast. I know Nathan Coleman in Duck River, Tennessee mentioned it. Bees just kind of not doing much because we had so much rain for a few weeks, and our whole outfit experienced that. So we're seeing brood nests that reflect the results of that incident. This is a good colony of bees. I'm requeening it. It's one of the very last colonies we're requeening. We're almost there as far as requeening our whole outfit. And forgive me, I got salt in my eyes. I guess I should be wearing a band, but they made 2 supers of sourwood. They had the bees to do it. They're going to get a third because it's just the 8th of July. There's the potential for another week of honey production in this location. We just got a ton of rain. We got 3 1/4 inches in about 45 minutes yesterday. So it is sopping wet here. The sourwood trees still look good. We could still we could finish off the corners of the supers we have on and another super too. I killed the queen in this thing and I'm giving them a new queen, which is exactly what they need. Now where I'm going with all this is that this thing only has 3 frames of brood in it. Everything else is getting backfilled. Whatever brood has been hatching, you can see it's just a little bit of remnants of brood here. The brood hatches and then they just backfill it, and there wasn't that much brood to begin with. Both sides of this frame are that way. In a normal season, as soon as the sourwood is done, we're in a race to get these things fed because the whole box is full of brood, maybe a frame or 2 of pollen, maybe 1 frame of honey. But as soon as we take the honey supers off, we've just taken all their food, so we have to feed them right away. That would be a huge mistake this year. We've been through a bunch of colonies in the last week. Every colony has a ton of food in it and not a lot of brood. So we'll be going right into treatments without any feeding at all this year. That burns, salt in your eyes. Just a completely different season. We're doing something completely different than what we would normally do, and it's just trying to be flexible with the conditions. Not only that, but a colony like this may not get any feed until way into September. This brood nest needs to open up. I hope this new queen will start laying and force the bees to kind of open up this brood nest a little bit. I do not need these single-story colonies only having 2 or 3 frames of brood in September. They won't go into winter with quite enough young bees. So right now it's all about allowing things to open up and not feeding at all. We're having a decent season in some yards. It's been way too dry here the last few weeks. Our southern sourwood yards are not great. They're making a little bit. I think our big hope this year is our northern yards that are later and have experienced this rain the last day, and then Friday it rained about a ½ inch too. So we're going to make some sourwood honey, but by no means will it be a bumper crop because of the conditions down south. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on this Monday morning, June 8th. Things are a little different this year. You can pan over there. John's trying to find a queen over there. And you know, the requeening in a honey flow is really a pretty good experience. Half the bees are gone into the field. The bees that are here are fairly gentle. And the acceptance for requeening is quite high because the bees are so preoccupied with the nectar flow. So it's a really good time to be doing this. And I've been intending to talk more about the difference between singles and doubles. I've often said I really prefer double deep colonies, but when it comes to finding a queen and requeening a colony, there's no doubt about it. A single is much easier. We're just finding the queens in a few minutes in these things and moving on to the next. So we've done a lot of requeening in the last week and almost there. I've been saying that over and over. We actually do have 4 yards that we've set aside that are not going to get requeened until September. They're going to be a part of a research project starting in September and October with special queens, all the same queens coming from the same source. And I can't really talk about it much at this moment, but when that research study gets into high gear, I'll be talking about that. So, did I miss anything, Selena?
I think you got everything.
I think I've got it for now. Yeah, we'll throw this in next Sunday's video. And it'll probably just be another one of those video Sunday with a little hodgepodge of clips from different yards and different experiences. Our southern yards, we're actually going to start putting some of the honey above escapes this week because they are completely done with the sourwood, and that'll give us an opportunity to start treating early down there. So, okay, thank you. This is an interesting bush that I don't know the name of. I'm on my neighbor Jack's property. Our bee yard is right down there. There's John eating blackberries. We're about to pull the honey, the sourwood honey, off of this yard, but this thing caught my eye. Selena said the bees were all over it yesterday. I'm going to have to ask Jack exactly what this is. Very interesting. Very exotic looking. Okay, here's the official honey pulling crew this year. Clint here says he can do it all, but we're going to have to help him with it.
Yeah, a lot.
And Jason's been helping us with the spring honey, and John and Selena and I. And we're at our neighbor Jack's property. And they did good here. They, according to Selena, I didn't put the escapes on with them. According to John and Selena, these boxes are full.
Yep.
And they should have had another. So that's good news. It's a beautiful day, y'all.
Yes, it
We
is.
got 6 or 7 yards to pull, and I think we can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Looks pretty.
Looks pretty. John's pulling the escape boards. Seems to be plenty of bees in the boxes. We'll be here tomorrow to put Apiguard treatments on. This yard is called the post office yard because the Lakemont post office is right behind me. So they did okay. We're still south of the shop, so we haven't hit the good yards yet. Or I should say the better yards. These actually put a little burr comb under the lids after we put the escapes on. But that's okay. They made honey for another day or two after we put the escapes on, but we seem to have scooted around the sumac in this area, so it worked out okay. And they have switched to the sumac in this location, so glad we're getting this honey off now. Nice location. My house is over that direction about 2 miles over towards that hill in the background. Lakemont, Georgia. And yes, our cell building colonies make honey too. Not quite as much as the ones that aren't messed with for cell building, but they're still quite capable of making honey. Still a lot of bees in some of these colonies. We're really close to the shop, so I think we'll go by and unload all of this, get another pile of pallets and head out. Good job, John.
Yes, sir. Always.
Okay, back to the river yard to pull honey. This is our first day of pulling sourwood. It's going well. Got a few yards pulled already. Got a few more to do before the day's over. I see some sumac out there. I'm going to go take a close-up of that sumac that's getting ready to bloom out there. So it doesn't take very much of this plant right here to change the color of your sourwood. This is what I keep referring to as dirty dishwater look. This is sumac. And there's a couple types of sumac in this neighborhood. This one blooms right after the sourwood's finishing, and if you aren't careful it can overlap and get into your sourwood supers. There's not tons of it, but again, it doesn't take much. A teaspoon of this in a jar of sourwood can completely change the color and have an effect on the flavor. The sourwood this year is already not the best flavor sourwood we've ever had. You find that odd if you think about it. You think every year would be the same. It's not. The flavor of sourwood this year is not as pronounced as it is some years. It's good. It's good honey. We've had better tasting sourwood, and I can't explain that. I can't explain why any crop would taste different from one year to the next, but it seems like almost every plant can. Just on the verge of opening up. There's just a couple small flowers opening, and within a few days this will be wide open. And that's why we're here taking this honey off today. Well, seems to be plenty of bees in the boxes. Rims are on the colonies. We'll be putting in apiguard treatments tomorrow. We've done some mite checks over the last day or two. Still seeing fairly low numbers, but of course we're going to treat them anyway. My new attitude is I don't want to treat colonies to bring my numbers down. I want to treat my colonies so they never get high. That's the key to having good bees, is don't get a high mite load. It takes a while to kick all those viruses and things. If they have a high mite load, they get all those viruses, and it can take 4, 5, 6 weeks to get all that cleaned up even after the mites are gone. Anyway, that red truck's pretty heavy right now. It's got I don't know, about 250, 270 supers on it. We've got one more yard to pull, then we're taking it all back to the shop, and then we'll spend the rest of the day putting escapes on other yards that we can pull in another 4 days. Today's Monday. Any escape we put on today we can pull on Friday. All good. This is a Vitex bush. I planted a bunch of these around my house. Mine are small. This is just on the roadside, just out of Clayton. I thought I'd take a picture of it. This is a tremendous honey producing shrub. It's kind of known in the beekeeping world. There's bees all over this one. I'm not surprised. It's just standing here alone. They bloom for a fairly long time, and they're very beautiful, as can be seen here. You can shear them and prune them and shape them and do things like that. They're easy to grow. I'm not sure what soil pH they prefer, but the soil here is not neutral, I can tell you that. Northeast Georgia, the average soil pH is about 5.5. I knew a guy in Idaho that grew a ton of them, acres of them, to try to produce honey off of them, and I think he had some success doing it. So, Vitex, very interesting.